This happened earlier today. Let's take a look at it.
All right, so Fox News alert, President Trump is back in Washington after cutting his time at the G7 summit in Canada short. The commander-in-chief saying he has not reached out to Iran for peace talks.
Meanwhile, more than 300,000 Iranians being warned to evacuate Tehran, the capital, as Israel's Operation Rising Lion intensifies, striking dozens of targets overnight.
We have live team coverage. Mark Meredith is at the White House tracking the administration's response. But first, we go to Mike Tobin. He is live in Israel and Tel Aviv as the Israelis assess damage from Iranian missile strikes to military and civilian targets. Hey, Mike.
Hi there, Ainsley. The Iranian missile barrages are part of every day and night. An Israeli military spokesman now says some 400 Iranian missiles have been fired at Israel. What we saw in the overnight hours, however, was instead of the usual hundreds of missiles coming at Israel, what we have seen since the start of Operation Rising Lion, about 20 came last night. 4 missiles got through, hitting in the town of Herzliya, which is just north of Tel Aviv. One of them set a bus on fire in a parking lot. Another set a structure on fire. But no injuries reported thus far. Meantime, an Israeli official says the IDF is not done hitting targets inside Iran. Yesterday, the Iranian state TV building was burning after it was hit by an Israeli strike, a hit that happened while they were live on the air.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday. This was nuts. Holy fuck.
Israel also says Iran's wartime chief of staff was killed. Ali Shadmani was his name. He was the most senior military commander.
4 days on the job. Man.
To Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But he only had the job for 4 days. He was appointed after his predecessor was killed in the early days of Operation Rising Lion.
We still do not know who will be the substitute's replacement. I would advise...
Well, yeah, if you did, they'd be dead. Yeah, that's the reason why.
Advise anyone who is offered the position to consider
it's the only job where you don't want to be promoted.
To take it, he is advised to be extremely cautious.
Bro, are you kidding me?
Replacement. I would advise anyone who is offered the position to consider carefully. If he agrees to take it, he is advised to be extremely cautious.
Man.
And that same Israeli military
more kinetic diplomacy.
Says that 10 Iranian scientists essential to Iran's nuclear program have been killed since the start.
Not a fan of assassination, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. I view assassination as the lesser of two evils. Like, assassination prevents escalation of, like, a lot of soldiers are not really the ideological leaders of movements, right? Like, you have grunts and boots on the ground that are just trying to defend their country. The real fault, like, I mean, saying that you're against that, like, I mean, don't we all complain about how when a company goes bankrupt and the CEO fires a bunch of people, but they still get a bonus? Well, think about this person as the CEO. And he just got fired.
Part of the operation. Ainsley?
Right. Mike, you showed the video of the Iranian state TV, and we saw that blast while the lady was anchoring. She was speaking Farsi during that explosion. And I was told that a man off camera was saying Allah Akbar. And Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, says the TV station was not a legitimate news outlet, but a tool of the totalitarian regime. Was the lady that we saw, was she the one that was killed? I know a lady did die.
Well, obviously she didn't die.
Well, I know that that woman who you see on TV there has now popped up on billboards all across Tehran. She is being hailed as a hero. We only know through Iranian TV that one woman was said to have been killed. But if you look at the woman who was in that video, she doesn't appear to be hit by anything in the initial phases of the strike, just frightened very badly.
All right. And lastly, have you heard any credible reports of stirring on the streets against the Ayatollah regime?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question.
No credible reports. What
Nothing
I'm hearing
yet.
coming out of Tehran right now are just
They're probably
reports that
trying to
people
leave.
are very afraid,
Yeah.
and they also don't have international reporters inside of Tehran, so they feel very isolated. They don't feel that they have anyone to run
Yeah,
to.
I heard that they just basically turned off the internet in Iran.
But they're extremely fearful at this point, Brian.
Right. Thanks so much, Mike.
Did you have a question?
All good, Mike. Appreciate it. I just want to point to something that the administration, they're going on the offense because there's been several attacks saying that the president has changed his position, although you can go through the record of him saying they can't have a nuclear weapon. But they cite this report that they gave to Congress on June 10th, and it says that it is estimated that the current stockpile and the available centrifuges across several enrichment plants are sufficient to produce its first 25 kilogram of weapon-grade material in roughly 1 week, and enough for up to 10 nuclear weapons in 3 weeks. So
yeah, apparently, that's not what the U.S. intelligence said. It's hard to know whether that's true or not.
they're saying, look, we've been warning for a while that it was getting this close. This is why we put so much pressure to get a peace deal done.
You know why? Because last night, The Daily Show had Jon Stewart roll back some Netanyahu clips where he says the Iranians were close back to 2010 and 2015. So they're saying, essentially, and so are the president's right-wing critics, what he says the MAGA wing, which he's the head of, say that, well, you know, they always say they were close to enrichment, but they weren't. But the IAEA just sanctioned them for the first time in 20 years, saying they've gone flying past the threshold. And for those people who think, well, if the president didn't tear up the deal, they wouldn't have a nuclear program. The deal would have expired. It only lasted 10 years, and those were during the Obama years.
So if you're just waking up, the president left the G7 summit, and he was asked about the ceasefire. And he said Macron is saying, you heard these reports, Macron is saying that President Trump's leaving early to go handle a ceasefire with the two countries. And the president said no.
I don't think there's going to be a ceasefire. I'm going to be honest. I think that it's beyond that. I do. I think that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
He is wrong. That's not what's happening. Then the president is calling a meeting with his with the National Security Council. So what does that tell us? He's wrong. We're not working on a ceasefire. We gave them a shot. We gave them 60 days. Now on day 61, you saw what happened. So it sounds like ceasefire options off the table, unless for some reason maybe Iran comes back, because Pete Hegseth kind of alluded to that we would be willing to sit down and talk. So maybe if they're smart enough to come and do this. But many people have said Iran is so ambitious with nuclear weapons, and they're so arrogant, the Ayatollah and the regime, that they probably won't even do that. They're willing to sacrifice.
Well, I think they're afraid. Honestly, they're afraid because if they don't have those weapons, they realize that those weapons are leverage. And so if they don't have those weapons, they don't have leverage. So they want to get those weapons as soon as they possibly can. Obviously.
Own people so that Israel doesn't get their hands on nuclear weapons or destroy their nuclear weapons. They can always rebuild as long as they have the ability to enrich.
All I know is the Grand Ayatollah's got to get a new contact list, because many of the people who are his favorite, rapid dial, are dead.
Right.
So I don't know who's going to be there to rescue the regime.
And the people are not in favor of the regime. The majority of the people there.
They don't like it.
And many of them are leaving Tehran. You saw leaving in droves.
CBS reports
President
Trump's
said,
considering
leave
attacking
immediately.
Iran.
What does that tell you, too?
That's the
What's about to happen?
If there are demonstrations in the streets, do the cops break it up?
That's right.
Or do the cops disappear?
I'm Steve Ducey.
I think the cops break it up. Or sorry, I think they're going to disappear, because at this point it seems pretty obvious that, I mean, they just have such overwhelming firepower. I mean, they're bombing these guys. They're literally killing them a day after they come up, after they get appointed, like within less than a week. I mean, I would definitely be they control the airspace. Yeah, exactly. Like there's nothing that they can do, I feel like. I think it's totally over for them. Anyway, let's look at this.
Welcome back. You're looking at live pictures of the Jerusalem night sky. All quiet at the moment, but we are standing by. Have a full team on the ground
like
there to bring us news as it happens for you.
Yeah, the IDF is briefing right now. Effie Defrin is the person who's briefing. We were used to seeing Daniel Hagari when it came to Gaza and things in Lebanon. This is a different briefer. It's in Hebrew right now. We do not have a translation. But when we've got English now, let's go to Effie Defrin here, the IDF.
Hitting Iran's nuclear, ballistic, and command capabilities. The Iranian regime has spent years getting closer to a nuclear weapon. They have spent billions building a ballistic missile program. Our mission is clear: to remove the threat at its source.
AI, everything's AI.
Last night, the IDF eliminated.
Iran isn't even a real place. You're just getting you're literally getting manipulated by this is Jewish lizard propaganda.
Ali
None of this
Shamadani,
is real.
the regime's wartime chief of general staff. Shamadani held the role for only 4 days before meeting the same fate as his predecessor. This mission was based on real-time and emerging intelligence. We have delivered significant blows to the Iranian regime, and as such, they have been pushed back into central Iran. They are now focusing their efforts on conducting missile fire from the area of Isfahan. We are aiming at military targets. They are attacking civilian homes. The IDF will continue to operate with precision, strength, and resolve to ensure the safety of the people of Israel.
And also keep in mind, like, you know, I'm an America first kind of guy. I don't give a fuck really about, like, I mean, Israel, like, oh, they're defending themselves. Yeah, sure. But, like, you've killed way more civilians than Iran has. And yeah, that's because Iran doesn't have the Iron Dome. And if every missile that Iran shot at Israel had hit, yeah, they probably would have killed way more civilians than Israel did. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really on their side either. That's how I see it.
Faces threats on many fronts.
Numbers don't matter.
While we are working to remove threats from Iran.
Of course they matter. If you're looking, the effective impact of your behavior, of course, matters.
Iran, we are still fighting their proxy, Hamas, in Gaza, who is still holding 53 of our hostages in brutal conditions. We will not rest until they are returned home. Thank you very much.
They're going to go back.
There's Effie Defrin with the IDF briefing saying that right now the Iranians are concentrating their ballistic missile fire on Israel from Isfahan, which is a city where there have been a number of strikes by the Israeli Air Force to try to take out those missile launchers. They were saying earlier today that they've taken out, I believe it was 25 or to 30% of those missile launchers. So that really does degrade Iran's capability of launching those big, powerful missiles toward Israel. And every day, it seems, they're able to fire fewer of those than they were the day before.
And we've been widely airing satellite images that...
They've been limp dicking it for the past 2 days. They have. Like, that's it.
Our newsroom obtained yesterday and today that show before and after images of Iran's three main missile facilities inside the country. Severe damage to all three of them, as well as Natanz, the infamous nuclear weapons facility there on the ground. So these capabilities, super important to degrading Iranians, not just their nuclear capability, but their military might and the threat they pose to the rest of the world.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch
Trump's
our hottest interviews and most compelling...
You think he went crazy? I mean, I don't know if he did or not. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Do you think Iran doesn't have the firepower? Why aren't they sending everything they have? Why the limp dicking? I don't know. And that's the honest question. I legitimately do not know the answer to that. And yeah,